good morning, Kwun.
Good morning to you guys. Yeah.
Let me introduce to you guys Kwun, who is Paul's supervisee. And I wanted to show guys something. We've received it today in the post, but I know neither of you have seen it yet. And it's, ta-da, look at that.
Wow.
Oh, wow, brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah,
Page as
CBT
well.
Today, CBT Today, the national...
Oh, it's the cover.
Yes, magazine on CBT. And your article is actually on the cover.
That's
right?
awesome.
Isn't
That's
it
awesome.
great?
Yes.
I'll try to find it in the middle. We will obviously, Paul, I think it would be really nice. Are you subscribing to this one?
No, I'm not actually.
No. Would be nice if they could send us a physical copy, Paul, and we could send it to Kwun, wouldn't it? So, and then there's your article here, right?
Wow. Yes.
Long. Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Cool.
Put your names there. So congratulations. Is it your first published article, Kwun?
Thank you.
Or you had some published?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the UK, it's my first one. Yeah, in the UK.
It's your first one in the UK, but you had some published in Hong Kong. So Kwun is joining us from Hong Kong, and I must say that Kwun has been an SDS student for quite a few years. Do you remember when did you start?
I think maybe 3 to 4 years back.
Yes, if not more, to be honest. But what is it?
It's not more, right?
What is interesting about Kwun, he is always ready for something new, for new tasks, because when we once wrote to our students asking if they want to participate in creating tests for our videos, Kwun was one of the first ones, probably the first one, who replied and said, I'm ready to do that. And with that, remember, Paul? And of course, with that, he had a chance to watch quite a lot of SDS videos for free and to create tests for them. And after that, Kwun approached Paul and asked him to be his supervisor in CBT. Is it correct? So tell us, Kwun, why did you decide to choose Paul as your CBT supervisor?
Well, I had a bit of training online already with Paul, I think, and I really liked the style of his teaching and the way that he was kind of delivering all the training to the students, and I like the approach that he was going for, and I think like he's the right supervisor for me, because I've worked with different supervisors before and I know the relationship and the approach is really important, so that I chose Paul. Paul was, I knew he was the right supervisor for me.
Fantastic.
When I was working with him doing training.
Thank you. And Paul, what did you notice about Kwun when he became your supervisee?
I think the most striking thing was his degree of engagement and commitment. I think that one would like to think that in any supervision relationship, the supervisor has an impact on the supervisee's practice, their self-insight, their reflections over a period of time. But what I think particularly struck me about Kwun quite quickly actually was that things changed from session to session, quite literally that quickly. He sort of took things on board. He approached things in a different way immediately after we'd explore them or discuss them. So yeah, I think that sort of commitment and degree of engagement was the thing that was most striking for me.
Yes, I remember how at your second supervision session, you came back and you said, it's amazing, he's already implemented what we've discussed in the first one. So it's probably incredibly rewarding for you as a supervisor.
Yes, undoubtedly.
Yeah, fantastic. And Kwun, did you notice, did your practice change with these supervision sessions?
Yes, a lot. I think I gained a lot of, first of all, I gained a lot of confidence from seeking when after I've done the supervision with Paul. And every time he always can able to give me insights on things that I kind of miss out when I'm working with my clients, and it kind of led me to a new direction. And this kind of skills actually can develop for future cases as well. And so I'm really grateful that Paul is my supervisor. Yeah.
That's really, really good to hear. And
Mm,
well, tell us a little bit, because the article you've written and which was published in CBT Today is cultural
mm-hmm,
competency with the Hong Kong Chinese community. So how
mm.
did you come to that decision? How did the idea come to, is it both of you or one of you, that it actually is worth publishing your uh,
The
Experience.
article. Mm,
experience? Yes, I was
mm-hmm.
trying to go for a better word, but the outcomes of your practice and the differences. How did it come about?
Should I
It's
go
both of
first?
you.
I think I think the initial idea was actually Paul came up with that. But I think maybe through my own work with Hong Kong clients, and I saw firsthand how mainstream mental health approaches like CBT sometimes fail to account for their unique cultural needs. So I think this article can raise awareness of these issues and equip other therapists to provide more culturally competent support for the population, like the Hong Kong Chinese population in the UK, as is very timely and relevant at the moment because we have a lot of Hong Kong immigrants recently kind of moved to the UK,
Mhm.
and yeah, and they might be struggling with whatever the political changes that was in Hong Kong that was happening, and then also kind of getting used to the new environment, new culture. So I think this article is great. This idea was great. So I just thought, okay, let's do this. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how did the work go? I believe obviously the expertise was Kwon's, wasn't it? And you've written the article. How difficult it was to get it published, Paul?
How difficult was it? Well, the CBT Today was very supportive. I mean, one of the things I would have to say is that there is a great awareness and prioritization that's given to cultural competency within CBT now, and I think that was a really important groundwork for it. And I also would say that there's not an enormous amount that's written about cultural competency with the Chinese community. And in view of the fact that, you know, as Kwun said, there is a large Hong Kong community moving to the UK already and over the coming years, with very little guidance really in terms of how things might be different if you're going to be working with this particular community and accommodating their particular needs. So I would take my hat off to CBT Today in terms of their willingness to support this. They enthusiastically supported it, in fact. Yeah.
That's fantastic, and
Mm,
obviously they put it on the cover, so they see it as an issue which is very
mm,
topical and want to draw attention to it. I just wanted to ask one, do you
yeah.
know of any Chinese therapists from Hong Kong who are actually working in the UK as CBT therapists, or Hong Kong population in the UK will have to go mainly to British therapists?
I think quite a lot of I know of quite a lot of Hong Kong therapists who recently moved to the UK as well, and they're trying to work with clients in the UK. But then it's not. I don't think because it's all new right now, and not a lot of people are promoting themselves online and things like that. So a lot of Hong Kong immigrants are still going for the NHS route to get
Yes.
therapy. Yeah, so mainly, I guess, like people who are Westerners, I mean British therapists, I guess, they're working with them. So yeah, hopefully this article will help them to get a more and better understanding of the Hong Kong culture that might interfere with the effectiveness of the therapy, I think.
Yes.
I mean, if I can just add something to that, I mean, certainly within the CBT therapy field, which is obviously the one I'm most familiar with, I would actually say that people with a Chinese heritage are very, very thin on the ground indeed. Yeah, I think that, you know, I think people should not assume that there's necessarily a large CBT therapist community who are culturally competent in Chinese culture, ready and willing to actually, or able to work with these folks. And I think it's one of the key reasons why an article like this is just so important from an educational perspective, because there will be, and I already know that there is to some degree, a number of CBT therapists who are around who are finding themselves already seeing some clients, and they just have no background at all in whether adaptations need to be made or whatever. So yeah, I think we would both like to hope that this will have an impact on practice around in the UK. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And I think what is also important is probably to encourage therapists of other cultural background with different heritage to probably come forward and try to do something similar, because at the moment, with what is happening in the world, we have refugees from many countries or relocants who actually need the help at the point of relocation, because it's the most challenging time in their lives. And very often the therapist who works with them will not be aware of the cultural and historical background where the people are coming from and what they faced. So I hope that this article will encourage other therapists, maybe even amongst our students, to come forward and say, I have something to share as well, and would like to, I don't know, maybe talk at SDS Thursday, or maybe even publish an article and have it published in a national magazine. I wanted to ask another question, Paul, because this is not the first Thursday when we are talking about one of our students working with you and publishing an article on as a result of it. And I know you have another student who is doing something similar at the moment. So it's unusual, you know, to be a supervisor and to encourage your supervisee not just to improve their practice, but actually get something under their belt in terms of publications. How did it come about? Because
it's a good question. And I know that you said to me beforehand that you were going to ask me about this, and I've been thinking about it. I guess my most immediate response is that I see certain strengths in people, and I see certain value in what it is that is in their experience, or what they produced in some way, and I just think it deserves a wider audience. I mean, if I can just take this example with Kwun, for instance, and it's something I just wanted to tag on to what's been said, and I should have mentioned earlier. I think this is valuable not just for practitioners. This is also incredibly valuable as well for supervisors. And actually, I probably learnt an enormous amount in terms of myself becoming more culturally competent relating to the Chinese community through working with Kwun. And I think that's a really important point. But I think generally speaking, I mean, at the end of the day, it's other people's decision about what they want to do, whether they want to publish or not. But I think frequently people have all sorts of insights, experience, projects that they've been involved in, which, to be absolutely honest with you, I don't think people necessarily value to the degree that they should. And I think we already know that imposter syndrome is a big thing within our profession. And as you know, I have a particular interest in that. And I suppose to some degree, I think this is about me wanting to encourage people to embrace their own competence and experience and knowledge and bring it to a wider audience, rather than, to use that old-fashioned phrase, hiding their light under a bushel. But rather instead letting the world know about it, because it is of value, undoubtedly. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
So that's all I wanted to ask, unless you want to add anything, both of you. I want to say
Yeah.
Congratulations again. And
Thank you.
I genuinely hope one day we'll see you live in Britain, and probably
Yeah.
we'll be very, very happy to meet you, and maybe attending live one of our courses, although most of our courses are on Zoom.
Yeah.
So you are joining us just like every other student. That's the changes
Yeah.
the pandemic brought to the world. But
I still have some courses ongoing. I'm still doing at the
you're
moment
still,
right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Well, that's fantastic. And I just
Mm.
want to say to everyone who is listening, think about it. If you have something to share, you can approach us, you can approach Paul. By the way, I wanted to mention that everyone who does Master Practitioner Diploma has one free session of supervision with Paul a year. So you can just join that free supervision session and raise this question with Paul, and maybe let him encourage you to do something what you haven't done before. Yes, thank you very much. Well, you
Thank you.
enjoy your evening, Kwun, and
Thank
we'll
you so
see
much.
you again soon.
You
Thank you,
take
Paul.
care.
Thank you.
Look after yourself. Bye now.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.